lot of people pray and wait. And I did that for a long time. I'd pray for a door to open and I'd just sit there, waiting. Like the prayer was a request that I had sent in, and now my job was just to be patient until God carried me through that door. But it doesn't really work like that. At least it hasn't for me. Those prayers open the door, but they don't make you walk through it. He's not going to make you do that. You have your own free will to take those opportunities. He's going to open up so many doors in your life, but he's not going to walk you through every door. He's going to give you the opportunity and give you the lessons that you're able to carry with you, but it's not just going to hand it to you on a silver platter. I think the prayer was never supposed to replace the moving. It was supposed to give me the nerve to move, right? You can see it. Here's the opportunity. Now go get it. And I wasted years not understanding that difference. And so I wanted to talk about that because you're probably praying about something right now, and I think you probably are, and otherwise you probably wouldn't even be here. And that there's a decent chance that you're using prayer as a reason to stay exactly where you are. And I know that because I did that. And I wanted to kind of show you guys or talk you guys through what that looked like for me. And I think the thing about waiting that nobody really says out loud is that it feels spiritual. It feels humble. It feels like trust. I'm just waiting on God's timing. It sounds like faith, but a lot of the time it's not faith. It's just fear wearing faith's clothes. Because if I never moved, I never fail. I guess. If I never move, I never fail. And if I just keep praying and waiting, I get to stay safe and still call it obedience. I get to feel like I'm doing the right thing while I'm actually just scared. And I'm not saying that timing isn't real, because it definitely is. There's a difference, but there's a difference between waiting on God and hiding behind Him. I lived on the wrong side of that for a long time, and I told myself the whole time that I'm just being faithful, and it's gonna work out. It's all gonna do that. And don't get me wrong, it is gonna work out, but it was just these almost excuses that I was telling myself that to just stay comfortable where I was. And I think there's a big difference in that. So if I go back to Oregon, when I lived there, I kind of just went through life. I was just kind of existing. It's like, well, people have it worse than me. I have a roof over my head. I have a job. I did good in school. I was doing the things. I had lost a lot of weight. That right before I left, I lost almost 100 pounds. Right? Like, things are good, right? They seem good. There's nothing, from the outside, there's nothing that really wrong, and that's kind of hard to explain. It's like it wasn't a crisis. It was much quieter. It was just a life of performing, or a life that I was performing, instead of a life that I actually wanted. And I feel like you guys know that feeling where you're doing all the right things and checking all the boxes, and something inside you is just like, man, this ain't it. Girl, this ain't it. Like, this is not it. And you keep telling that voice, just be quiet. Like, what right do I have to be unsatisfied right now? Like, like I said, you got a roof over your head, you got a job. People have it so much worse. So you just keep burying it. And you pray about it, and you wait. And that was me. That's what I was doing in that time. I was praying for something to change while doing absolutely nothing that would change it. I think waiting for God to rearrange my whole life while I refused to move a single piece of it myself. And years just kind of flew by like that, quietly. And I think that's the scary and dangerous part of it all, is that it doesn't like announce itself. It's like, hey man, you're stuck. It's not like an error code that pops up in your freaking, eyeballs as you're walking around. It's just like, it's just there. And it just slowly kind of becomes who you are. And so in April of 2022, I had decided that I was going to go do solar sales in California. It was only supposed to be for the summer. I was going to, go for the summer, try to make a bunch of money, come back. I'm sure a lot of people have kind of done that with solar sales. They're like, I'm gonna make up a bunch of money. I'm gonna make a couple bands. I'm gonna be good. Chasing the money. And I had left with practically nothing. I mean, I had clothes for the summer, and I had like my laptop, my phone, and like that kind of stuff, but nothing crazy. I didn't bring all my bedroom stuff. I didn't bring anything like that. And it wasn't like a confident plan. It was definitely not a well-funded plan, because I still had bills. I still had debt. I needed to be paying bills off. I needed money coming in. And it wasn't fully planned either. Like, I just was like, all right, well, we're going to do this, and let's see what happens. And then next thing you know, like a month later, the bills caught up. I couldn't do anything. Deals weren't closing. And I had to make another decision where I was like, well, I'm either going to go back home and I'm going to have the same exact life, same exact things, same exact shit. And that's what it was going to be. Or I could call up my aunt, be like, hey, let's see if I can move down here for a couple years and really try to just restart. The relationship stuff wasn't good. I was on an apartment that I never once lived in. It was shaky. It was bad, honestly. Like, I can honestly look back and say it was bad. And I wasn't satisfied with myself. Like, I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. And so I came down here and I restarted. And it's terrifying the whole time. Like, every bit of it sucked. Like, it wasn't fun by any means. Like, yeah, it looks cool. It's California, right? Like, it looks all great. You can make everything look aesthetic and whatever, but doesn't necessarily mean that it was all fine and dandy and living the life. Like, I've done some cool things, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, all right? It was a lot of loneliness and dark times, because, like, frankly, like, I was with family that I knew down here, but I really only ever saw them once, maybe twice a year, maybe. And I had to just restart everything. I didn't have my friends. I didn't have people that I knew. I didn't have all my stuff, really. Like, I didn't have my family. I just had faith that I knew that this was eventually going to work out, and I knew it was gonna happen. I knew God was gonna make it happen for me. And I just kind of would pray on it, and I'd wait. And I'd keep I guess I started moving. Like, I took an opportunity. Like, I've done that. And as I've kind of started doing more inner work on everything, I have come to realize that, the moving has really helped. Like, doing the things myself and, like, actually... Dang. And do it, like, actually going through everything, and it was the only way. I think people fear everything not working out, and I think they also think that fear and faith don't coexist. But I feel like my story is the opposite of that. It's like, they definitely do exist together. They coexist. Because the whole time I was scared. I was feared. Like, everything sucked. Like, this is not This is not great. This is not optimal. All right, it's not optimal. But I always had my faith, and I was like, well, I think, like, if I really trust in God, like, I'm not supposed to feel afraid, right? But no, like, that's a lie. And I think that it keeps a lot of good people frozen when you think that fear and faith don't coexist. Because they're waiting to feel fearless before they do anything, before they move, before they get that just I'm fearless. I'm ready to go. Like, there's nothing to be scared of here. But that feeling doesn't come. Like, faith didn't take away the fear. Faith is what let me move with the fear. And that's how things have kind of played out. I prayed, I was scared, but I went anyway. It was that working at the same time. It's not like a contradiction. It was what it actually looked like and what it actually looks like. I didn't move because I stopped being afraid. I moved because I finally understood that prayer wasn't going to be the answer. And I didn't even realize it at the time. I'm looking back on this now and being like, well, that's kind of what happened. Like, I'm learning this. I'm finally getting to this, like, well, I'm 26 now. My brain's fully developed. So I realize it now that, like, I just kind of, like, had the faith that it was going to work out. And I just kind of went with it. And the faith is kind of what kept just driving me through. And what I kept moving towards was just being the better version of myself. I came down here. I'm not some overnight success story by any means. I've not even close to that. I'm in the beginning. I'm in the I don't know what the fuck I'm doing stage, if anything. And I think people kind of just glorify the people that, like, have it made, and they just think, like, wow, well, they already had this, and that. Well, at one point they didn't. At one point, all the successful people I'm sure there's a fucking couple caveats where they were just whatever. But they had to grind, and they had to figure it out. And they were probably scared, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing at sometimes, but they just kept moving. And they had the faith of whatever form to keep going. And, like, once I came down here, I got a job at Dutch Bros. I needed to meet people in the community. I needed, something to pay the bills. And eventually I, started my business doing business funding. And so pretty much I worked there every other hour. I'm, making content, trying to, like, post things and like doing outreach and trying ads and just trying to, build my business. It was KP Capital, and it's a funding business. That's the short version. We do business funding and transactional funding for real estate. And I guess the short version of why I do this is because, I hit a wall that most people building something hit. You've got the hustle, you got the drive, and then you run face first into the capital ceiling. You ain't got the money to do it. You don't have the money to do the business, do the whatever it is for you. And you can't really see clearly how you're going to get through that. So then you resort back to what you do. And what I do now is learning in this industry is that there are options and there are avenues that you can do. If you fix your credit, you can leverage credit to get some funding, and then you're able to do this. And you can actually leverage people who are just, if you're in the real estate realm, who fund your deals for you, basically. You still have to do the work. You still have to find the deal that works, find the buyers, find the sellers, and freaking do it. But there's people that will just be like, yeah, let's cover it. Let's do it. It checks out. Boom. Like, there's always an avenue. And I think the biggest thing is, like, there's a lot of people in this industry right now that they're just so, and this probably applies to, like, almost all industries right now. Everybody's just AI right now. Like, they AI do all their messaging. They do AI for their content. They do AI for literally everything. Their outreach is AI. Jesus Christ, man. They do everything AI. There's no human element to it. And that's why I'm building what I'm building, is because, like, I believe that there's supposed to be an actual human in it that actually cares and actually wants to grow with people. You know, I'm not here to pitch you on this video. I'm just telling you this to answer the question of the whole video. It's like, what's on the other side of the move? And the answer is the building, the reps, a thing and a life that is actually mine, which none of which exists if I just kept praying and waiting back in Oregon. And I wish somebody had told me this earlier when I moved. You know, my circumstances didn't magically catch up to my faith. Like, they still are catching up. Like, it's not even like that. You know, I moved, it was hard, and it's been very humbling. You know, there's been times where I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be here, if I'm being honest with you. And it's been hard, whether it's, you know, business-wise, relationally. It's just been an ongoing battle where everything piles up. Debt, this, that, everything. It gets to you at a point, and you're just like, man, I just don't know. And I just, you know, I would go on these drives, and I'd just sit there and I'd pray to God and show me, you know, what's for me, show me the path, talk to me, you know, call out to me because I'm, you know, sometimes I'd be losing my faith. And almost every single time, this isn't just a one-time thing, this is a multiple-time thing, I got an answer. Whether it be, like, relationally, where I go up and I pray, where, you know, if this person's for me or not for me, show me a sign. And then within about 24 to 48 hours, they gone. All right? Almost every time. And then the time that it was bad, you know, I was crying. I was like, man, I don't know. And then, like, it's like this weird, like, vision or epiphany kind of pops up, and you just, like, all the people that I love, all the people that love me, kind of just flash, like it's like a little montage. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to, like, leave. Like, I just couldn't do it, you know? I could not do it because there are so many people that that love me, and they do care about me, and I want to keep going for them. You know, there were stretches where it was like everything looks like a mistake, where at my outside, the outside of my life looked worse, not better, and the only thing that I had to hold on to was the internal decision that I already made. Like, I'm gonna keep going. Alright. I guess what I understand now is that the circumstances lag the internal work, always. You change on the inside first, whether it's your identity, your decisions, who you decide to become, and then the outside slowly rearranges itself around to that new version of yourself. With a delay long enough to make you doubt it. And so if you've made, real change and your life hasn't caught up yet, you are not behind. You are not failing. Just because you fail doesn't make you a failure. You're just in that lag where you're ahead of your circumstances, but you're behind. You're not behind everyone else. You're that in between where you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you've been, and you just gotta keep going. You gotta stay rooted, stay honest, keep showing up, and the reps will do the rest. They really do. And I didn't just make this to tell my story. I wanted to do this to ask you guys a question, and that's, what are you guys praying about right now that you're using as a reason to wait? Be honest with yourself for just a second of your day. And I think there's always these things that you're asking God for, and there's always a move attached to it that you already kind of know you need to make, and you've been treating the prayer like it's the whole job. And it's not. It's the nerve to let you do it. It's the taking the weight off so that you can keep moving forward. The move is actually yours to make, though. And I'm not telling you to be reckless, and I'm not telling you to blow up your whole life on a feeling. I'm telling you that the whole "I'm waiting on the right time" might be the exact sentence that's keeping you stuck. And that ready is a feeling that shows up after you move, not before. You're never going to feel ready. You can keep praying and waiting, or you can pray and move. And I'm telling you from the other side of one of those moves that it's the second one. Pray and move. Every time. Every time it's the second one. And you're not behind. You're just early. The door that you've been praying about, I think it's been open. It's probably opened a while ago. Maybe new doors have opened. But you've just been standing in front of all of them. And you're just waiting for the feeling to be ready to walk through. The prayer gets answered the moment you're willing to move. Not before, not without you, with you. So move. Whether you're scared, unsure, not ready, just move. God's not waiting on the perfect version of you. He accepts you exactly where you are and has full faith in you that you can do whatever it is that you seek. The doors are open. You just have to be willing to go through them. So that's it. That's this whole thing. If this resonated with you, landed for you, do me a favor and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. I'm kind of documenting my whole build, the real version of it all, the highlights, the hard days, the dark moments. I make these for the people that are still on the same road that I'm on, or walking the same road that I'm on, or on a similar path than I'm on. And if there's something specific that you're praying about and stuck on, put it in the comments. I read them, I'd love to interact with y'all. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Love y'all. And, yeah, I just love y'all.